Morning guys, today is Fancy Friday, hence you've got me wearing this fancy dress. Just wanted to talk about the topics that will come in your test. As you remember, 2 days ago I sent an email via Connect stating what topics you need to study for, all right? And also I just wanted to reiterate how the format of the test is going to be like. So basically what will happen is on Wednesday, period 1, at that specific time, I will send the attachment for the test. All right, you will have 55 minutes to do the test, send the photos and email it to me, all right, by the link or my email address that you guys know by now. I must say I was very pleased with the way you guys did your validation. You were on top of things, you did your validation, took the photos and sent it to me. All right, so just carrying on from what topics you need to be studying. And I know I've written it down, but I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more. All right, so in that way you have a clear idea. Cool. So I've got them right here, so I'll just read out from here. So the first thing is the particle kinetic theory. So try to understand what that states, what are the postulates, what are the properties of solids, liquids and gases, all right, and also know the relationship between pressure, volume and temperature. So for example, what happens when pressure increases to the volume? Will volume increase as well, or what's the connection between pressure and temperature? All right, you could get a question on the properties of solids, liquids and gases, the fixed volume, the fixed shape, all that you learned, and also heating and cooling curves. All right, so if a solid, for example, is heated, all right, and then you keep heating it, what's going to happen in terms of the heating and cooling curve in a graph? So that's basically that bit that I wanted to cover. The second part I wanted to talk about is the structure of the atom. All right, you could be given a question where there's an element. You need to know the number of protons, electrons and neutrons, so like pen, for example. All right, you could be given an element. All right, you got to look at the periodic table to find the atomic number and mass number. All right, so that basic things that you need to understand. All right, the other thing I wanted to talk about is isotopes. All right, so you're not going to get a question on what is an isotope. In ATAR it's more of applying your understanding. All right, so you could get two substances with different percentage abundances, and you're told to find the average relative atomic mass. All right, or you could get a question where the relative atomic mass is given and you're told to find the percentages. So obviously this is mathematical, I've explained it to you, and so just trying to understand that bit. I'm also looking at also putting up a video to explain how to do the isotopic calculations as well. The next thing I wanted to talk about is mass spectrometry. So what is that instrument, why is that important, what are the processes that take place, and also using mass spectroscopy from a graph to decipher and find the relative atomic mass. One of your friends requested me to put a video on what mass spectroscopy is and how it works, so I will be uploading that shortly. All right, from there onwards, we'll be looking at knowing the formula, the valencies of the respective ions, all right, whether it's a cation or an anion. So you might be given a question here, there'll be a table, for example, and you're told to find what's the charge of potassium, what's the charge of magnesium, what's the charge of a sulfate, what's the charge of a carbonate, all right? So you've got to really be thorough with that, all right, because like I said before, only when you know the charges of these ions, cations and anions, will you be able to successfully write down the formula, balance an equation. All right, so that is absolutely critical. So there's going to be questions where you need to know the formulas and charges of these ions. All right, and then the other one is percentage composition. So for example, you might, let's say a compound like barium carbonate. What's the percentage composition of barium? What's the percentage composition of carbon? What's the percentage composition of oxygen? So if you don't know that barium carbonate is BaCO3 brackets or no brackets, what's going to happen is you're going to mess up with your calculation. So please be thorough with your formulas, and that's going to help you from there. Again, I mentioned about balancing equations, so you should know that a proper equation needs to have the right formula, the adequate state symbols and the correct coefficients. All right, and then furthermore, you should also be able to balance the net ionic equations. All right, I'll put a video up on that, on how to balance net ionic equations as well. Cool. And then from there onwards, you've also got to remember, we talked about percentage composition, but please don't study trends in the periodic table. Don't study about electron configurations, all right? So just study from what I've just stated for you. I wanted to make sure that you guys were absolutely clear for you to understand. And I will be uploading videos as well on those specific components, like using mass spectroscopy, how to find relative atomic mass, how to find percentage composition, do calculations on pressure, volume, and temperature. All right, so I will be putting up these videos shortly for you to understand. You're more than welcome to email me. You're more than welcome to send me an email and say, look, Mr. Shri, I don't understand this topic. Do you mind putting a video on that? I'm more than happy to do that. Until then, stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Good luck studying, guys. I'm always available also on the weekend. Take care.